Hello guys, I'm Daisy, your Vice President of Finance.
And hi, I'm Mackenzie, your Vice President of Leadership,
In this session, you'll learn about how to lead with passion.
and how to take your DECA chapter to the next level. We'll be covering a lot of different content, so I encourage note-taking on your map book or on a piece of paper. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to ask. So first off, we're going to talk about developing a great DECA chapter and what that means. Learning what it means to develop a great DECA chapter will involve learning about all aspects of your local chapter. I'm sure even right now, you can think about something you love about your DECA chapter. Type something in the chat you love about your chapter.
Are we good?
Type something in the chat you love. Ooh, cookies. Yes, very true, very true. Great things. Well, maybe it's the friends you made along. Oh, brownies, very good. I like those too. The people, yes, very true. All of these are very true. So maybe it's the friends you've made. Maybe it's getting to attend conferences such as FLC or CDC. These are all great things. However, at the same time, it's equally important to think about things you want to improve on. Maybe it includes more competition practice or trying to host community events. I want all of you to write down in your notes something you would like to improve about your chapter. So take a second to do that.
We still have people coming in.
Yeah, we do have a lot of people. Oh, another person. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. If you're just coming in, we're talking about ways we want to improve our chapter. So you can write down in your notes something you would like to improve about your chapter. Because understanding your strengths and your weaknesses are essential to make effective changes in your chapter. Next up, Daisy is going to talk about to make goals.
Okay, so next up is goal setting. Goal setting, it serves as a roadmap. When creating these objectives, keep in mind you want them to be SMART. And SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So you guys can go ahead and write these down and kind of abbreviate as you go. You don't have to write all of this. This is just some stuff that could help you throughout your, your chapter and throughout your whole school year for your DECA chapter. So first, let's start with being specific. If I'm planning a meeting and I tell Mackenzie, let's meet in Oklahoma City, by the time she arrives, there's a high chance that she'll have no idea where I am, mainly because the location is way too far. I need specific information to tell her. So let's say you want to increase leadership skills. How will you accomplish this? Maybe you could watch videos, have group meeting discussions, or attend conferences such as this one right here, FLC. Is this an individual goal or should it apply to the whole group, you might ask? So next up is measurable. How will you know if you reached your own chapter goal? In what ways will you measure it? For instance, you'll need to add up time. You'll need to know how many teammates will need to be involved and how to calculate your guys' productiveness. Someone said, is this only Zoom meeting going? No, this is not the only Zoom meeting going. You guys can access this in the virtual leadership experience, and then you can click on which one you're interested in the most or applies to you. You can be in any one, but I can go ahead and continue. So measurable, you can basically use it to calculate your guys' productiveness or how many teammates you have within your team. Is this achievable, you must ask yourself? Do I have the resources I need to complete this goal? What will my timeline look like, for instance? Like in order to accomplish a task or certain goal that you might have, make sure to open up and research for resources and jot it down in your planner, so you know what you're going to be speaking about and what type of goals you want to reach. Is this goal realistic or relevant enough and beneficial to be used? Will it help your goal or maybe not at all, you might ask? You would like to, in this step, to eliminate any negatives. So in the realistic, be sure to eliminate any negatives you have trying to stop your goal or something like pulling you back from your goal. And lastly, how much time you'll allow for reaching this goal, such as allowing yourself to create deadlines and checkpoints. So staying on a schedule is something that you should probably create just so you can keep up with your goal. And one thing I will add is do not procrastinate, because I know many people procrastinate, and there's probably many people in this workshop that might be procrastinating at this moment, but that's something that you should really keep in mind, is you guys don't need to be procrastinating if you're trying to get to a certain chapter goal.
All right, and now moving on to recruiting new members. I saw we had a bunch of people just join the chat. So just to recap, Daisy was talking about how to make SMART goals, which are very important when you want to improve your chapter. So next up, we're going to talk about membership. Membership is a fantastic goal. Membership is a part of every organization, and it provides the opportunity for people to interact, make new friends, and share a common interest. I'm going to take a wild guess and assume many of you have social media, and I'm sure you've seen the Oklahoma DECA page as well, and if not, please follow. We share information with our members, and we even make fun skits to get members excited about upcoming events. We recommend starting up a local chapter social media account. That way you can interact with people from your school who want to see what it's all about, and maybe they have the chance to join and they would want to do that. Social media can also give the chance to meet people from different states. And I mean, currently we're in this situation and everyone is dealing with it differently. So it's interesting to interact with them and see how they're dealing with the situation. And you can see ideas and see how to do that. Another way of recruiting in school is just as important. So each year, my school hosts a course club fair where people have the chance to interact and they can see all the organizations they can be a part of. If you don't do this, I highly recommend it. It's a very good way to meet a lot of people and find a common interest. We also have a huge bulletin board outside of our DECA room where we can post upcoming events. So if we're doing a blood drive for community service, we can see how many people would be interested in donating and how many people would want to sign up. Now, this last thing, as you can see for the final bullet point, is practice an elevator speech. So for a moment, I want you to imagine you're in an elevator. Someone sees a DECA logo on your shirt and they ask you, what is that? You have only a few seconds to think about what it is and why they should join. So I want you to write down in your notes, what would you tell them? What is DECA and why should they join? So I want everyone to write in your notes, write about this. And I'm going to give you 40 seconds to write about it. All right, so I know you guys are working really hard on that. And I do want you to continue developing that speech because it is very important, especially when you're in that situation and people all the time are saying, what is that? Why should I join that organization? So to hear a polished speech example, Daisy, would you like to share your elevator speech?
Of course. So Here's like a short little elevator speech. Right at the moment, you might not have everything in like mind, but this is something sort of that um, it'll like go along the lines of. So basically, you can present what DECA is. So DECA is a worldwide like business organization that prepares high school and college students for a career in marketing, finance, hospitality, and etc. Um, this way, everyone gets a real world opportunity to compete in those types of careers. And ever since being an organization, I've traveled to 3 different places to compete in my competition that I placed state at. So make sure to tell them what DECA is and how it benefited you and like what you got to do like throughout it.
Yes, that is fantastic. Thank you for sharing, Daisy.
So the next thing we're going to be talking about is what our chapter engagement. So you might be asking, what are chapters doing to engage their own community? Does anybody have a best friend that they might have met coming into DECA, or like a lifelong friend that's literally your best friend and you've never, the only way you met them is through DECA? Or maybe you could say like, what does DECA mean to you? DECA means to me, well, DECA means for most of us is family. So you might be thinking like, oh yeah, my DECA friends are all my family. We basically bond together as family. So that's something that you should be, trying to tie in through chapter engagement. Remember to connect with each other, create strong bonds, gain trust within each other. And also, you always want to have a friendly, welcoming, outlook for your community to really show who you guys are. So your community is your high school, basically. So by building friendship in your DECA chapter, you are networking, which is very useful, getting to know each other, because in the long run, you never know if that specific person will give you important information or that specific person will get you a job in the long run. So something that's really, really big is networking in DECA, which you guys might have already known. So next up is encouraging peer mentoring. Does anybody know what peer mentoring, what peer mentoring can do to engage your child? Peer pressure, understanding. Okay, so basically peer mentors are effective in supporting students to guide the other to learn and understand in a better way and better improve students' engagement. So for example, you might have seniors like going into the new DECA year, you might have like the senior showing the freshmen, what we do for DECA, like how to do things and all of that. So that's basically like, encouraging, peer mentoring to help other students in DECA, your chapter can engage within each other. So another thing is virtual trivia nights, or even, in-person trivia nights. Has anybody had a trivia night or a game night with their chapter? Maybe last year, or you had a virtual one this year? Well, you guys should probably really write that down so you can host one of your own. It's something that really can get some engagement in between you guys and kind of make it like fun, and this can be virtually and in person. So the next one is, I know many of you guys are having Zoom meetings, probably even in-person meetings. Well, you guys should really be prioritizing chapter engagement and through this tough time, regardless of how things are going, and make sure, to always stay safe and begin planning your guys's events and your competition. So always remember to keep your chapter engagement engaged even throughout this tough time that we're going through. So next up, we're going to show you some activities that me and Mackenzie were involved in. You might have some alike to these, you might not, and you can write this stuff down and, create your own and for the future, or, Mackenzie will explain more about how you can do this virtually in the end. But for the first picture, every year my chapter hosts a trunk or treat for grades through pre-K and 8th grade, which allows us to engage with our community outside of our high school. So That's one of the pictures that I've gotten from my chapter.
Yeah, and the second picture to the left is from our club course fair that I was talking about, where members can come around and serve booth. So you can see me and the VP of Career Development trying to get members to come by.
So you'll see the next one, mental health awareness. You might be thinking like, how this stuff is, like, what are they doing here in the picture? So basically May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So to get closer to our community, we acknowledge their mental health and we provide them hotlines that they can share out through the media and throughout everybody else, like their friends. For those, they can forward on to any, like literally anybody. So they can help those who need it, those who they know need it. So for instance, like that's something that we really do. And I know May is like, you know, the end of like the school year, but this is something that we can like that we do throughout the school year and something that you can do.
Yeah, and the last picture here is from our annual Spooktacular, where we have kids that can come for safe indoor trick-or-treating. Now, something you might have noticed.
I think it might have took Mackenzie out off the screen.
I'm sorry about that, folks. I'm going to get right back to where we were. There we go. Okay, so just because the situation isn't the exact same, it doesn't mean that these chapter events can't be done. Can allow for some great outcomes. For example, Course Club Fair this year, it was a little bit different because we couldn't be in person. So we made videos and people could go to a link where they could see all the organizations to be a part of. So that's just one way that you can do it. And if this conference is anything, it's that being virtual is possible. So next up, here we go.
I can't see it, Mackenzie. It's kind of lagging.
My apologies.
She is at school right now,
sorry,
so it's a
guys.
little hard.
Can you see it now?
No, I can't quite see it.
Can everybody see my screen? Okay, I'm gonna stop screen sharing and then I'm gonna try again.
Okay, it's good now. It's good now.
Alrighty.
Kind of cope with those guys because this is our first virtual, like, you know, meeting with like all of DECA, kind of cope with this. But I can go on and talk about productive and efficient chapter meetings. So you probably already have had meetings in the past that are very important. Oh, it did come up. Okay, there you go. Okay, so you probably already have had meetings in the past that are very important, but to make the meeting productive, you always have to create an agenda. So you guys might know what a meeting agenda is, and you should already have this done ahead of time. And also having meeting expectations already viewed by members. So that's something you might be thinking like, what type of expectations should members, you know, be viewing before then? So for instance, dress code. You always should have a dress code or even a material overview. And then the second is leaving room, the third one is leaving room for questions and concerns or any creativity wanting to be added. So for instance, if you're wanting to create a new event, you want to take time out of your meeting at the end to really, you know, create one and try your idea out there. So like later on, for instance, you have another next meeting, you want to, you know, kind of tie it in with it, and you know, you're finishing it off with this meeting, and then the next meeting you're going to go ahead and present it more information and detailed. And that's the same thing as ending with an action point, you know, kind of knowing what everyone is going to do, what kind of stuff that they're hoping to do for the future, like, you know, for the future, or just like the creativity that they are adding. And also keeping notes for future reference is something that you should all be doing because it's so helpful. Or if you have a secretary, she might be keeping minutes. You guys might be wondering, like, what is minutes? Like, oh, we don't have a secretary at our chapter. Well, basically, your secretary should be keeping minutes and should be keeping like deadlines and stuff, like important deadlines, dates, or any of that stuff. And sharing it later on with like the rest of the members right after the meeting. So that's something that you guys should really stay interested in, is always keeping your notes, because it's going to be, you might need it in the long run. So summarizing meeting and assigning tasks for the next meeting. You always want to have, like I said, mentioned before, be ready for the next meeting. So assigning these tasks for the next meeting is something that should be beneficial already, so you can get things done, so you know what you're going to look forward to the next meeting and get prepared for it. So over here on the cover, we have 8 tips. So first, make sure you know that you need a meeting. Make sure it's not just a meeting you're just posting just because. You really want to stay productive. So and make sure you have attending, your attending members attending, and those who didn't attend, make sure to follow the information with them. Agenda, always keep agenda. Remember, always keep an agenda, because it's gonna help so much to get through the meeting. And also punctuality is time, making sure that the time is right and everyone can attend at that time. And also you can do this by your culture, which is your community. So these are some tips that you can, keep for your own and your own chapter, and for you guys to, share with your chapter, so you can create positive and efficient chapter meetings.
All right, and finally, I wanted to leading DECA chapters to success as our conclusion. This year is different, and we know that, but we also know that every one of you are strong leaders. This year will be a test of your strengths, smarts, creativity, and most importantly, your leadership skills. The goals that we've given you today and all of our material, we hoped you wrote down stuff so you can take it into your life and make sure you're the best you can be. We want you to take forth what you've learned and take your leadership to the next level. And also hope paying attention, because we have a mini quiz coming up. We have a mini in the chat quiz.
We can go ahead and tell them the questions.
Paying attention. Are you ready?
We could tell them the questions, just because I know a lot of you
guys. Okay. So yeah. Okay, so the very first question is, what does SMART stand for? What does SMART stand for? This is an in the chat quiz. Ooh, we got the first one.
Smart.
Very good. Very good. Wasn't here for that.
You guys know the next one?
Measurable. Yes.
Timing. Got that one. She wrote them all down.
Ooh, yes. Good job, guys. Good job. The second question is, name a way of recruiting new members. Were you paying attention? We'll see. We'll see. Name a way of recruiting new members. Social media. There you go. There's one of them. Nice. Online. Yes. Club fair. Yes. Good job, guys. Good job. So now on to the third question. What is something that should be done ahead of time before each meeting? Do you guys remember? Were you paying attention? Agendas and planning. Good job, guys. Good job, good job. The fourth question is, what is peer mentoring? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Peer mentoring.
Helping, yes. Good job, good job. Supporting, yes. Leading, yes. Very good, very good. And the final question, yes, understanding them. And the final question of the mini quiz is, what is an activity that Daisy or Mackenzie were involved in with their school? Chapter activity. Do you guys remember? Came right? There we go. There's one. Ooh, very good, very good. Yes, very good. You guys are amazing. Y'all did amazing on the quiz. Good job.
So if you guys have any, because we have a little bit of time left over, if any of you guys have any questions that we've spoken about, or something you just want to say, like to add in, you guys can drop it in the chat and we can answer your questions before we get out of here and move on to the next section. So
how do you guys feel on a scale of 1 to 5? Do you think you understand everything? 4? Good, good. 4s are good. 5s, yes, love to see that. 4.7, very specific. Oh, a 6. Good job. Good job. 100s. Ooh, 7s. Nice. 1,000. Loving this. This is good. Thank you. How are you guys doing today? We're doing good?
Very informational. I hope it was.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Seems we've got 5 minutes left. Cool, cool.
Any
Wishing we could
more
be in Norman for the
questions or even
conference.
like some advice throughout your chapter that we could help you guys on? Or some activities that y'all guys could do that you guys want advice on or tips? Oh, peer mentoring again. Well, basically, peer mentoring, I don't know if you guys do it at your own chapter, but having like alumni DECA, like officers, pretty much explain like what you do in DECA, how to do things, and kind of leading them on, even if it's like with a competition or something. You're just basically leading them and, you know, engaging with them and trying to get connected with them, even if they are new to DECA, never been in DECA, or kind of need a refreshment. So that's something for peer mentoring.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys can draw your social medias. Because I know that we did this before at our conferences as officers for State DECA. We dropped our medias and information so we guys can continue to connect with each other.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add, Mackenzie?
I really hope you guys end up doing great despite the situation at hand. I really want the best for you guys. So if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to ask them because we're here to help. We're still trying to figure out this too. We're not robots, we're human. So we're still navigating as well.
Yeah.
All right, and we do have 3 minutes left before the next thing. So yeah. It was great to see all of you. We had so many people enter the chat. We went from 45 to 73, which is
That's really good.
spectacular. It's amazing.
Any more questions before we get out of here? Everyone's dropping their medias.
All right. Well, all right. All right.
Yeah, be sure to attend the
Daisy,
trivia
any
showdown.
last words?
Yeah, be sure to enter the trivia showdown. It's gonna be really, really fun.
There's a link in the chat right now. So if you guys want to click on that from Team Try, you can feel free to do that and it'll take you to the next activity. Woo! Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.